So let's just talk about hallucinations for a second. The AI kind, not the it's midnight staring at a build error that literally nobody else in the world cares about. If you've been using GPT or Claude as your pair programmer, you know the feeling. You ask for a fix, and it confidently invents a Swift method or makes up some totally bogus Swift data API that just doesn't exist. It's the fastest way to kill your flow. So the OpenAI paper, Why Language Models Hallucinate, has been out for about a week now. And honestly, I've seen a ton of takes and breakdowns flying around. I ended up reading it, scrolled through way too many threads, and boiled it all down to three big things that actually matter for indie devs. So yeah, here's my three takeaways, what they actually mean and how it all plays out if you're solo and depending on AI agents in your workflow. Just real quick, I'm Daniel. I've been in the Apple world for almost 8 years now, mostly freelancing, shipping apps for clients. But since Dub 25, I've been all in on solo dev life. Launched over 7 apps since then, started building everything out in public, and yeah, lately, well, I'm moving the whole private community out of Patreon into our own platform at crafterslab.dev. I wanted a space that actually feels built for solo devs, not just a copy paste community or a big Discord, but a real toolkit where you get the deep dive guides, AI workflows, UI design packs, source code, and new stuff I'm adding all the time, but in a way that actually stays personal and hands-on. Basically, all the good stuff from Patreon, articles, resources, Discord, AI hacks, and workflow, but now it's all under one roof and way more personal. I want it to feel like an actual solo lab, not just another membership. So if you're one of the 260 Crafters Lab folks on Patreon, let's make the jump. And huge thanks to every member for making this thing what it is. If you've got questions about the move or you want to see what's next, seriously, reach out anytime. But hey, more details in another video. All right, so let's just be honest for a second. This whole hallucination thing, it's not really a bug. It's just how these models are built, right? Like, I can't count the number of times I've thrown a bug at GPT or Claude hoping for a real fix, and instead it just makes something up out of thin air. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a Swift method that never existed. Sometimes it's a fake modifier or some wild combine trick I wish was real, but yeah, nope. And honestly, here's the thing. The reason this keeps happening is baked into the way these models actually work. At the core, they're just trying to predict what comes next no matter what. It doesn't matter if they're missing half the info or if the question is about some weird iOS beta API. The model never gets to just throw its hands up and say, I don't know. Instead, it just keeps talking. That's literally the job. Guessing is rewarded. Silence, not even an option. So yeah, every time you drop your code into an agent, whether it's for a refactor or a bug hunt or just to see what happens, you're basically rolling the dice. The model has to give you something back, even if it has to invent it. There's no skip button. There's no, hey, you left out a chunk of this view model. Want to give me a bit more? It just goes for it. Sometimes you get gold, but other times it's just confidently wrong. That's why you see all those moments where it invents a method or names an initializer you know for a fact does not exist. The model would rather guess and maybe get it right than admit it's stumped and risk getting zero credit. No joke, it's kind of wild and like the ultimate fake it till you make it coder, but that's just how it works under the hood. And if you've ever felt like, wait, did the model just gaslight me into thinking that was a real Swift property? You're definitely not alone. It's not out to get you. It's just doing exactly what it's built for. Never stop, never say no clue. Just keep predicting that next word. And yeah, as a solo dev, that means you got to keep your is this real radar turned way up every single session. Okay, so here's the thing. everyone keeps asking, well, aren't the models just going to get smarter? Isn't that going to fix hallucinations? And yeah, I mean, you'd think that if we just scale up these models, pour more GPUs into the mix, they'll magically stop making stuff up. But honestly, that's just not how it works. Not even close. You know, the paper is actually pretty savage about this. It's like, look, it doesn't matter how big or accurate your model gets. There will always be questions where the answer just isn't in the data. Maybe it's some gnarly Swift UI bug, or I don't know, a custom architecture that literally no one else has built before. Sometimes the model just hasn't seen it, right? And when that happens, the model doesn't get a free pass to say, I don't know, can you give me more context? Nope. It still gets graded on whether it made a prediction, and if it didn't, well, it gets dinged. It's kind of wild. So, yeah, even with all these super intelligent models rolling out, Claude 4.1, GPT-5, whatever comes next, they're all still trapped in the same system. They have to always answer, and the only thing that changes is maybe they're a bit less wrong a bit more often. But there's still no reward for being cautious. It's not like the model ever gets a pat on the back for raising its hand and saying, hey, I'm out of my depth here. The incentive is always just guess. And for code, man, that's where it hurts. Like, you ever ask Claude to scaffold out a Swift UI view, but you forget to give it some crucial dependency? Maybe you left out the environment variable or didn't paste the view model. The model should flag you, right? Like, hey, missing something. But right now, it just plows ahead, makes something up, and then you spend the next hour chasing down a ghost bug that honestly never needed to exist in the first place. It's the kind of stuff that makes you question your whole dev setup. So, honestly, as a solo dev, you just have to accept that no matter how good these models get, if the game is still never leave a blank, always answer, then hallucinations are always going to be in the mix. Sometimes you'll get lucky, sometimes you'll get straight up fiction. That's just how it is, at least for now. All right, so here's where things actually get kind of interesting. And honestly, this is the part that nobody really tells you. Like, how do we actually fix hallucinations, especially when it comes to code? It's not just about making the model smarter or giving them more data, right? The real answer, and the paper is super clear on this, is that the incentives need to change. The way we grade these models, the way we set up the rules of the game, that's what actually matters. Right now, the whole system is basically, did you answer? Did you get it right? Cool, here's your reward. But if you guessed and got it wrong, oh well, better luck next time. There's no bonus points for saying, hey, I don't actually know this one. Like, if you could train a model to admit when it's not sure, to say not enough info or need more context, and actually give it some credit for that, suddenly you've got a system where it's safer for the model to be honest than to just BS its way through. And, you know, for solo devs, this is kind of the cheat code. Start prompting your agents to actually tell you when they're unsure. No joke, just add to your prompts. If you're not certain, say so. Or don't make stuff up, just flag it. It feels weird the first couple times, but it really helps cut down on those late night, why did it invent a new Swift UI lifecycle moments. Also, and this is huge, break things into steps. Don't hand the agent your whole code base and say, go fix it. Start with, can you explain this bug? Then what's your plan? Then, okay, write just the function. It's slower, yeah, but you catch the weirdness before it spirals. And if you're anything like me, running solo means you need those little safety nets. And look, don't be afraid to be the tough judge. When the model spits out a fix, don't just copy paste it and hope for the best. Kick the tires. Does it make sense? Would you trust this in a code review? You're still the final gatekeeper. That's the job. Oh, and the more you write down in your Claude.md, your rules.md, whatever, the less the agent has to invent. I treat my agent like a junior dev who's just joined the team, give it all the docs, the weird project quirks, the never do this reminders, so it's not flying blind every time I start a session. And then, of course, anytime you find a tool or agent that lets you enable a say I don't know mode, use it. That's the future, and that's honestly what's going to separate the tools you can actually trust from the ones that just keep hallucinating with a smile. So, yeah. Not gonna lie, it's a little more work up front, but if you want to stay sane and actually trust the code your agents are spitting out, it's the way to go. Yeah. So, honestly, if you've made it this far, hats off. This whole thing, hallucinations, AI confidence, the dream of getting some perfect agent that never messes up your code, it's not magic, right? It's just how these models are built, how we train them, how we score them. I spent way too long thinking maybe next year the models will just stop making stuff up, but nah, at least not until we actually change what we're asking these things to do. So, for solo devs, the real move is don't go in blind. I mean, it's tempting to treat the agent like a senior engineer, but right now, it's basically a junior with a wild imagination. Push it to tell you what it doesn't know, set those little guardrails, break your work into steps. If we get to a place where the model can just be like, hey, not sure on this one, want to check the docs together, I'll be the first one cheering. But until then, keep your rules and Claude.md tight. Trust your instincts over any AI swagger. And yeah, keep treating every answer like a first draft, not gospel. And hey, if you've got a wild hallucination story, like whether it was a horror show or it actually saved your butt somehow, drop it in the comments. I seriously love hearing what's working or not for other folks building solo. Until next time, keep building, keep experimenting, and if you catch a hallucination in the wild, don't let it slow you down. Peace.